Good morning, Crossing Church family. My name is Quentin Curry. For any of you who don't know me, I'm a member here at the Crossing Church, and it's my privilege to bring the message this morning. Please keep the search committee in your prayers, otherwise you're going to get amateur guys like me Sunday after Sunday. So if that doesn't motivate you, I don't know what will. Today I'll be speaking on I was saying to Reed earlier, this is a nice underhanded pitch. I'm going to be speaking on gratitude and how it's an essential and defining characteristic of the Christian walk. I also want to welcome our friends online, and in particular, I want to welcome my mom, who's in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. She is an internet member of our church, and she watches every Sunday. So, hi, Mom. Good to see you. So today I want to look at a passage in Ephesians. We've been studying in Ephesians, and this is Ephesians chapter 5, verses 1 to 7. So even though this is in Ephesians, there's a lot of people who think that this was not necessarily written for the church in Ephesus, but maybe just for new churches in general, because it doesn't mention anybody in particular or any particular issues that they were having. But it doesn't really matter. It's important for us to hear what Paul has to say. So starting in verse 1, Ephesians 5, verse 1 to 7. Follow God's example, therefore, as dearly loved children, and walk in the way of love, just as Christ loved us and gave himself up for us as a fragrant offering and sacrifice to God. But among you there must not be even a hint of sexual immorality or any kind of impurity or of greed, because these are improper for God's holy people. Nor should there be obscenity or foolish talk or coarse joking, which are out of place, but rather thanksgiving. For of this you can be sure, no immoral, impure, or greedy person, such a person is an idolater, has any inheritance in the kingdom of Christ and of God. Let no one deceive you with empty words, for because of such things God's wrath comes on those who are disobedient. Therefore, do not be partners with them. So Paul starts out here with, follow God's example, therefore, as dearly loved children. And you've heard the saying, saving the best for last. Just so you know, that's how I eat every single meal I've eaten for as long as I can remember. I always save the best for last. So, sorry, Mr. Broccoli, I'm going to choke you down first. I'm going to get you out of the way. Vegetables, yes, and then I'm going to go for Mr. Chicken. That's the best stuff. I save that for last. Well, Paul is not doing that here. He's saving the best for first. So, let's go through it. In case you missed it, he starts out, follow God's example, therefore, as dearly loved children. So, we are family. Now, this is definitely cause for celebration. Everybody wants to belong to a family. And there's more. That we belong to God. We are God's family. Everybody wants to be wanted. Everybody wants to be needed. And we are possessed by God. Fantastic news. And here's what's more. We are actually God's dearly loved children. We are his dearly loved children. Jackpot. That's the best news ever. And we are, as he goes on to say in verse 2, we are to walk in the way of love by following God's truest expression of love, Jesus, just as Christ loved us and gave himself for us as a fragrant offering and sacrifice to God. Now, honestly, I was stumped a little by Paul's phrase, a fragrant offering and sacrifice. Why did he say fragrant? Why talk about Christ's sacrifice in terms of smell? So I did a little digging. I'm not a trained theologian. I don't have a deep knowledge of the Bible. But what Paul is doing, and many of you have already kind of come to that conclusion probably, he's calling us back to the Old Testament. The idea that people needed to bring burnt offerings into the temple, to be burned on the altar, to be consumed by fire, to atone for the sins of the people. And those sacrifices would be consumed entirely, and the priest would lay them on the altar, and there would be smoke rising, and the place would be filled with this smoke and this smell. And what Paul is saying here is that Christ's sacrifice was a sweet smell to God. It was satisfying to him. It was good. It was so good, it was so powerfully fragrant that it took away the sins of the entire world. Now I understand. Paul is saying that Christ's giving of himself as a sacrifice for our sins was pleasing to God. It was loving. It was God's way. It was just what the Father wanted. Jesus, dearly loved Son of God, followed his Father's example because of the love that had been bestowed on him, and in that love made the complete and sufficient and authentic sacrifice that allowed the inclusion of us into that family of love, as well as providing us with the most perfect and complete and ultimate example of God's love. Wow. Just beautiful. And can I also add that as humans, one of the ways we imprint with our close family and the way that they're permanently recorded into our memory is with smell, right? My wife smells like my wife. My children smell like my children. Nobody else smells like they do. My grandparents smell like my grandparents. My grandmother, my dearly departed grandmother, there was mothballs and Players Lights and a bunch of other things mixed in there. But to this day, when I smell mothballs, I'm instantly transported to her apartment in Moncton, New Brunswick, for one of hundreds of visits. There's authenticity there. It's real. And that fragrant sacrifice meant to God, this is my son. This is the sacrifice. One of the pleasures as a parent when our kids are little is I remember when the girls were babies, you finish your bath time, they're in their new pajamas with the feet in them, and they're all lotioned up and soaped up, and Rachel had really bad eczema, so she was greased up like a channel swimmer because Vaseline was just the best way to keep everything moisturized and stuff. And you got them in your arms and you're rocking them to sleep. And as a parent, you're finally starting to relax at the end of the day because you can kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel. And you take that deep breath, and you're like, this is my kid. This is my kid. There's no smell like it, And think of God, we have a finite ability to love, a finite ability to bond, a finite ability to feel that emotion. And think of God and his Son sacrificing himself in this act of love and the aroma of that sacrifice and how amazing that must have been. So, Paul, you got me fired up like a new believer here. I got all the good news. I belong to God. I'm in the family. I am loved. I'm saved by a fragrant sacrifice of Christ, and I'm ready to walk in the way of love. What's next? So then Paul goes on in verse 3. But among you there must not be any hint of sexual immorality or any kind of impurity or of greed, because these are improper for God's holy people. Nor should there be obscenity or foolish talk or coarse joking, which are out of place, but rather thanksgiving. For of this you can be sure, no immoral, impure, or greedy person, such a person is an idolater, has an inheritance in the kingdom of Christ and of God. Let no one deceive you with empty words, for because of such things God's wrath comes on those who are disobedient. Therefore, do not be partners with them. Oof, that's a big, big mountain of really rotten broccoli. I don't want to go anywhere near that. That's a lot to deal with. Remember those old commercials on TV for collection albums? The greatest hits on two. This is Sin's greatest hits on 2 long play LPs. For the low, low price of your soul. And if you act now, you receive membership in the Idolaters Club. That's a lot. Paul, give me some hope here. That's a tall order. Not even a hint of sexual immorality or impurity or greed or obscenity or foolish talk or coarse jokes. But you know what? Paul is speaking the truth here. You put a bunch of humans together long enough, and that's exactly what you get. You get sin's greatest hits. We've all seen it. Anybody ever been to Pompeii? Okay, well, if you're able to someday, go to Pompeii. Pompeii was this Roman city that was covered in volcanic ash because of an eruption, and so the entire city was preserved like an instant time capsule. And then they discovered it and they excavated it, and so you can literally walk down the streets of a Roman city and walk into the buildings, and you can see the grooves in the road where the chariots and the carts wore down the cobblestones. And, that was thousands of years ago. And in one of those businesses is a brothel. It's right there. We've been doing this for a long time. Wherever there's a group of people together, and I discovered this as I started to enter adulthood, whether it's a school or a club or a team or a political party or workplace, even a church, anywhere where humans gather, if God is not present in the minds and the hearts of the people, sin inevitably rushes in and fills the space. And let me tell you, it's not a fragrant stench. Literally, my first job as a summer student, so I was in high school, was at an ice cream stand. And on hour one of day one, the owner showed me how to scoop the ice cream so that there was an empty airspace in the middle of the ice cream so that I could cheat the customers. Day one. So Paul understands this, and he's warning us that in God's family, there's no room for the stench of sin. Our salvation is not of our own making. The smoke of all the burnt offerings ever offered, of all the sacrifices ever laid on an altar, could never be enough. And that's why only Christ's sacrifice was necessary, but it was sufficient. God is not talking about resisting sin for our salvation. That's already been taken care of. He already gave us the good news. He's talking about resisting sin and walking in this way of love so we can follow Christ's example, which we know is pleasing to God. He's so sneaky, though. I read that whole big passage the first time. I saw all the sin, I saw all the peril, I saw all the hopelessness, all those reasons for human suffering, all those ways I was going to fall short, and I missed it the first time around, though. I missed one word: thanksgiving, gratitude. True story. I'm an audiologist, and I see people to help them out with their hearing.